Backseat Directing's top TV shows for 2023. The Last of Us, obviously going in there. Gen V.
Tell them about it.
Then Invincible, even though we only got half a season.
Let's go.
And then I'm going to delve into some of my anime picks here. Vinland Saga, which won Anime of the Year. My personal favorite show of the year. Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 2. Blue-Eyed Samurai here. It's kind of a recurring element. And
Yeah.
The eyes are seen historically, culturally as like a window to the soul. So they are significant. Ranking your favorite content.
Put a podcast in there? Well, that's at the top.
Well,
Backseat Directing.
number one.
Welcome to Backseat Directing.
Where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew.
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on this episode, we're going over the top 2023 TV shows.
2023, 2, 1, action.
Yeah, at first I thought you were like correcting the year. Like I said it wrong.
Like, hold on.
Like, what do you mean?
What year is it?
It is 2023. That's right. Yeah, there's another year down, Andrew. This is normally like the peak of shows and TikTok channels and stuff where they're giving all their rankings lists of different shows and
shows of
movies and
2023.
yeah. And this one's titled The Best, but we're gonna kind of go over like our favorite. You know, we didn't watch as many TV shows as maybe normal in comparison to other years, or mainly in comparison to movies. We both, you especially, just watched a lot more movies than shows. Why do you think that is?
I just got really back into the medium of movies this year, like over shows. I've always loved them both, but I like to ask people the question of like, and it's a lot to keep track of. You've heard this before, but ranking your favorite content. If you had to rank,
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going with. That's hard.
I put movies, TV shows, video games, books/comic books, and then podcast usually is what I'll do. And I'll say like,
Throw a podcast in there? Well, that's at the top.
Well,
Backseat Directing.
number one. But podcasts are big to me, so I throw them in there because I listen to podcasts all the
Dang.
time when I drive places, when I'm doing yard work, working out. So it gives me a litmus test for people of like what they enjoy the most, and it kind of tells me like, maybe they'll want to talk more about movies or something. So I like that question, and it can tell you kind of a lot about a person. But I would say I used to have TV shows right above movies because you get so much more content with TV shows. But this year I have to move movies up a notch, mostly in terms of TV shows. I've watched a lot of anime this year, and like I've watched some live action shows too, but movies have really been my bread and butter this year, and I just really enjoyed like dissecting them a little
So
bit
what's
more.
your order of those mediums
It changes. Like I said,
Yeah.
this year movies have been higher.
as of right now?
I would say as of right now, movies are number one.
I'd
Then
agree.
TV shows. Then, oh my God, it's so tough for me because comics move a lot. Like I'm
Yeah.
reading comics right now.
For this year, for me, I'd say like podcasts or like YouTube. And then, was it video games, comics?
Podcasts,
What's like YouTube?
video games,
Yeah.
podcasts, you through YouTube and mess with it.
What do you mean?
It's 5 things. It's
Yeah.
video games,
I gave my order.
podcast, YouTube. It's not YouTube's. Keep saying YouTube's like I'm elderly. You on the YouTube?
You know what that is?
Video games, comic books, movies, TV shows, podcasts.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
God.
So did you finish your order?
No, I didn't. I just hate to relegate anything to 5, but movies and then TV shows, because even when I'm not watching a show, like a new show actively or have something to be excited about, I'm still like, I'm rewatching How I Met Your Mother for like
Oh, yeah,
50th
for sure.
time right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably gonna have to put podcasts last, because then I would probably say, no, I'm gonna do comics, then video games, then podcasts.
Yeah. We're the same, except I have video games and comics switched just because I didn't read as many video games this year. Not that I've played a lot of
read as many
games.
comics this year, or
Comics,
because you said read as many video
Sorry.
games. We're on it.
Yeah. Got it. I didn't read as many comics as I did the year before. And I played a few video games that I really liked this year. One of them being The Last of Us,
Oh, so good.
because of one of our favorite shows that came out this year, The Last of Us. And that was probably like the biggest first show that came out, that I was like really invested in, and it was released weekly. And every week I was very excited for that release day. I think it was like Thursdays or something. So like every Thursday I was there for it.
Yeah, this week I've had a lot less use for, or this year I've had a lot less use for podcasts because I stopped having to go to school in May, which I had an hour drive each way to school. So I've
Right.
listened to less this year. I
Yeah.
still listen to them all the time when I am driving and doing all those other tasks, but it's just fallen down my rankings.
In terms of like content that I consume, it's YouTube or podcasts. I put those like as one because I'll watch my podcast on YouTube or I'll watch other YouTube clips. Then from there, it's probably movies, shows, video games, comics for this year. Is what I would say. Yours is
hard.
definitely movies first.
Definitely movies first. And then I would want to move podcasts up. I could move podcasts above video games because video games for me also is another one that moves a lot. Movies and TV always stay at number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But with that said, let's do a quick, let's do a hook intro first.
Yeah. What are we doing in this episode?
So do you want to just flat out say what our top shows for the year are?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Backseat Directing's top TV shows for 2023. The Last of Us, obviously going in there. Gen V.
Tell them about it.
The spinoff to The Boys, which surprised us all this year by how great it was. Then Invincible, even though we only got half a season.
Let's go.
Invincible is so good. I'm putting it on this list with only 4 episodes. We love it. We've read the comics. We know it. Stephen Yeun and J.K. Simmons brought it into our hearts, and it is still great.
Yes.
Still running strong. And then I'm going to delve into some of my anime picks here. I'm going for the big 3 this year. Vinland Saga, which won Anime of the Year, tells a beautiful, emotional, gut-wrenching story about pacifism and war that really cuts you through to your core and makes you think about life. Attack on Titan, which kind of does a similar thing in a different way, tricks you into rooting for a murderer and just tells this really emotional story that makes you think about the horrors of war and makes you think about the concept of right and wrong and how perspective can really change who's the good guy and bad guy in any given story. And then my personal favorite show of the year and the best animated season of anime that I've ever seen, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. The Hidden Inventory and Shibuya Incident arcs have been so crispy, beautiful, amazing. Every episode has delivered somehow in a way more than the previous episode. When you think they can't top it, they still continue to do it. They just put out the season finale, and it's just so well animated. Like the caliber of storytelling is really high as well, but just nothing tops the level of excitement and adrenaline in these episodes. Every episode constantly just balls to the wall. They're always fighting, and it's in a way I've never seen before in an anime. It just never stops. The snowball keeps rolling and getting bigger, and I hope everyone watches. It's an easy barrier to entry anime. Only 2 seasons out right now. Please go watch Jujutsu Kaisen. You can watch it in Japanese or English, and they're both so phenomenal.
I think you're missing one show.
Who's the secret sleeper of the year?
Really loved. You know what it is?
I have it on my list. I can check, but I'm waiting for you to tell me.
All right. It's Blue Eye Samurai.
Yes.
Came out of nowhere, surprised us, dropped on Netflix. We did an episode on it. That episode blew up. We did another episode on it, and that episode did pretty well as well. Pretty well as well.
That's my second favorite show of the year. It's an animated show, so it's another in the field of animation. Takes place in Japan as well. It's super amazing, phenomenal show.
Yeah.
Very well animated, unique animation style, beautiful use of colors. It's stunning the whole way through. Every frame is really something special. And like I said, my second favorite show of the year. The writing and story is just so good in the show. And then I probably put my third favorite show as The Last of Us.
Yeah.
How would you rank your top 3 shows this year?
I'd go Blue Eye Samurai.
Because he doesn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yep. I would probably put probably The Last of Us second, and then I'd probably have to put Gen V third because Invincible isn't done. You know,
Yeah, that's fair. It's
it's
hard to rank it when it's only 4 episodes.
yeah, when you only
That's
get
half of the
half
show.
the story's worth of the show. I'm also like putting it outside of the top three of spite because I don't want them to keep giving us like little chunks at a time.
Yeah.
You know, we only got 5 episodes if you count the Adam Eve episode.
Sir, Mr. Kirkman, did you hear this?
Yeah.
Aaron didn't put us in the top 3.
We got to release all of season 3 right now.
Immediately. But yeah, we're also going to look at some clips from our favorite episodes of the show as well. Get into a few things here. You look like you have something to show us.
Yeah, so Andrew and I have been working on our first short film, and we just finished up the poster for the short film.
Aaron made the
called The Body. And this is the first time anyone's seen it, unless you're on our Discord. We debuted it there this week. Discord is free to join. It's in the link and all the descriptions of our YouTube videos, so you can check that out. Join in on the conversation. But yeah, I'm really excited for the film. I've been editing it a bunch, and it's getting closer and closer to being done. Hopefully, it'll be done by the end of this month, and then we'll try to submit it to some short film festivals, and from there, that'll kind of dictate whether or when we can post it onto YouTube. But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to see this movie. We've put in a lot of work to it. It's only like 6 minutes long or so. Yeah. But yeah, this poster I think encapsulates the movie perfectly. It's exactly what I had in mind a few months ago when I was thinking of what we would do for the poster. So it came out very nice, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think you did a stellar job. I mean, it tells you a little bit about the plot, doesn't tell you too much. Definitely between the title and the imagery, you can get an idea of what you're looking at. But there's some interesting story to unfold, in my opinion. I'm biased because I wrote the story, but it's my kind of story and I like it. And I hope people will respond to it well when they get to see it.
I like how there's no characters in this, because I feel like in a short film, character thumbnail or poster, can kind of give a lot away. If there's only 2 characters, 3, maybe 4 characters in the show, and like an iconic image of that character for the show could give that part away. So I like how it's just the shovel and the dirt, the title right behind it. So I'm very excited for that to come out here shortly. But let's go ahead and dive into this episode, breaking down episodes of shows from 2023. The first one, I think we can kind of just go in relative order that they came out, and that's The Last of Us. It's been too long. It seems like it's been over a year since we've seen The Last of Us. And it's like I have to shift my mindset to get back into the hype that was around when that was going on. I feel like it just felt so big. It was a new world to us both, or at least to me. I hadn't played the games or anything yet. And after watching the first episode or 2, dived in and played the whole game, the whole first one. And they did a pretty good job of showing the game on the live screen, with the show. What were your initial thoughts of The Last of Us? Did you play the game beforehand?
Yeah, so I finished the first game. I'd finished it.
Okay.
So I started the first game and got ahead of the show, and then I finished it by the time like episode 3 came out. I had finished the whole game. So I was a little bit late on the bandwagon to like starting the game, but once I got into it, it was just.
But you started it when the show was coming out?
I knew the show was coming out, right?
So you played it.
So I had played
right
the first episode before.
Yeah.
Like I played everything before I saw it, basically.
Okay. So you hadn't played it before the release announcement, at least, of the show.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it was new to you this year.
I had played the very beginning because it came with my like PlayStation 3 when I bought it,
years ago.
I was like in high school or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't fall in love with the game immediately, but then when I came back to play it as an adult, the story just really gripped me. And seeing them like do such a good job translating it onto the screen, I loved the show. Like every episode was enjoyable to me. Obviously some more than others. There were some episodes that were slower and we had our complaints when we watched the season coming out, that there weren't too many zombies or too much action, but they do such a good job of rich storytelling. The acting is amazing. The character relationships are fantastic. And then Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey just like embody these roles from like no one else could in live action, in my opinion. I feel like they were such perfect casts. I mean, the Joel Miller and Ellie Williams are two of my favorite fictional characters. Like Ellie's in my top 10 for sure. And I'm just really proud of the way that they did justice to it, and I fell in love with them this season. Like I want to see these
Absolutely.
actors in more things.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun playing the game alongside the show, and like being just ahead in the game and then seeing it happen in the episode. I think I went like back and forth, of like being ahead of the show or the show passing you, because I don't play games nearly as fast as you do, but it was a lot of fun experiencing both mediums at the same time of the same story and seeing these slight differences, and this scene right here encapsulates the feeling of the game really well.
Yeah,
like sneaking around, being quiet, hearing the clickers off in the distance, like can even turn the sound up. The clicker sounds, is like,
the clicker sound design and the costuming and like makeup are so good for live action. Like the prosthetic work throughout this whole show, from the clickers to the bloaters to just the general, like all the zombies, is so good.
Yeah, it is. It's phenomenal. And like when you're playing the game, like it was a new experience because I haven't played like a horror kind of game before. So like you're on your edge of your seat, as you're playing this game, but you got to react as you just got like jump scared, and like it was a fun experience. But they did such a good job like capturing the world within this show, compared.
Yeah, like right there, Joel just knocked over that statue and broke the glass, which is like something you do in the game a lot, throwing bottles and bricks and stuff to get the clicker's attention somewhere else, because they visualize through like sonar and they do a good job of like slowly building intensity and tension. Like you said, the fear when you're playing the game, like, did they spot me? Am I safe around this corner? Like, am I pinned down?
Yeah.
So they really hit that nail on the head. And it's not just like the lines and the story and the characterization that they get right, but the visuals, which is such a big thing, the visuals, especially of the creatures.
Yeah. Here's a little comparison
of all the ways that the show perfectly mirrored the game. Like, look how they got the grays on Pedro Pascal so right for Joel. Yeah. Troy Baker does such a good job of voicing him in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything looks fantastic, throughout the whole thing. A lot of this.
Offerman, that episode, how emotional was episode 3?
Crying like a baby.
Gutted all of us.
And I think at that point the show was ahead of me where I was at the game.
Well, that's good too. I mean, the show improved on it. I think.
Yeah.
That letter is all you get really in the game about their relationship, because his character's so closed off.
It does make me want to jump back into playing this, because I got a decent way through part 2. I was having a lot of fun with it, but I kind of got fatigued, playing the same game for quite a long time, But watching this just makes me excited all over again, and makes me want to play more. Like you've replayed part 2, haven't you?
Only like to the 20%.
Okay.
Through level. I'm still replaying.
It's a decently long game, isn't it?
Look at this perfect like recreation.
Yeah, it's great.
And then this conversation here, the dialogue is word for word. When he's like, "Is it everything you pictured?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so good. Let's take a look at the big bloater scene here. This is where we saw the most amount of clickers and zombies and whatnot, which was, again, we kind of mentioned one of the complaints of the show was that we just didn't see a lot, because in the game, like, Joe's out there killing hundreds of these things,
Well, not just
and
them,
even Ellie,
people too.
Yeah, like
he kills so many people.
Right. So like we didn't get to see that as much. We didn't get to see like Joel's toughness, like his ability to protect himself and Ellie.
He was a little bit more realistic in the show in terms of like
Sure.
like walking off insane injuries like he does in the game.
Right. Yeah, but this episode, it brought us all back. Like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing, And I mean, every time you see a clicker, like that's a lot more money right there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this shot right here
Yeah, I think
was the shot.
the suit cost a couple $100,000, I think.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Which, if it costs that much, why didn't you put it on a few times? You know what I'm saying? But a lot goes into a show.
They're like, we're gonna hold on to that for season 2.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
We'll get our money's worth out of it eventually.
It looks phenomenal, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it looks like this was real.
Well, because so much of it's practical. There's a giant stunt man inside that suit, giving it the realistic movement rather than just being like purely CGI.
Yeah, it was good. I want to fast forward to. Do we already pass the part in the car?
It's coming here.
Okay. Yeah, this part here. This part was good and pretty intense, because Joel's like, "Oh no, I don't have a shot," and Ellie's in there all by herself, and this girl's so creepy. Wasn't she like a gymnast or
like
something?
A little gymnast
in real life?
Yeah. Another practical example in the film of like having a little actress in there instead of
it was so intense.
Special effects.
Playing the video game was intense and a lot of fun, and
yeah, that joint experience elevated it for sure.
Yeah,
but also
absolutely.
When you're playing the game and really enjoying the game, and then you see a sequence in the show like the diary sequence that's in that has that conversation between Joel and Ellie where she's like, "Is this really all they had to worry about?" And then they argue about his daughter. When you see it written for the screen with the same dialogue, like and almost the same cuts exactly, like it's just so gratifying as like a gamer to see that translation done. And to be done with like the level of respect that they were like, this doesn't need to be changed. This is already like peak fiction.
Yeah, they stayed with a lot of the needed parts, so that hold the story together. But then they improved upon or adjusted a lot of parts, and a lot of it landed. That there's
things you have to change it to a TV show format.
Right.
Like if they was just
following the villains and stuff, like you're not staying with Joel and Ellie the entire time like you do in the game.
The game is probably like what, 80%, probably more of like you running around shooting and killing zombies, and then like 10-15% cutscenes. If the show was 80% just him killing zombies, there'd be no room for story. So they had to expand a lot and lower down the action.
Yeah, absolutely. But the game was so fun too. Like if you haven't played The Last of Us, either part 1 or part 2, like definitely highly recommend that you jump into that. It's a good balance between like strategy, mechanics, and then also just like, a bunch of stuff happening all at once, like it's really cool. It really balances like the sneaking around aspect with like all of the action. You get to use a bunch of different weapons, and then the story is incredibly emotional and just sucks you right in.
Gets you attached to characters in a way few things do.
Absolutely. And it's a game, like it's the story, you could argue, isn't even its main focus. It's like the gameplay is the main focus, but the story is so peak that it just elevates the gameplay.
And don't listen to the haters on The Last of Us Part 2. That game's amazing.
It's your favorite game, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes up and down between that and Arkham City, but I think The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game of all time as of right now.
Yeah, I got halfway through it. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I think I like the first one better just because I completed it. So I don't have the rest of the story yet for the part 2, but I kind of want to wait until the next season comes out to play it alongside the show because it was so fun doing that the first time.
Play it twice.
Play it twice.
I couldn't wait.
All right, let's see. Our next show that we're going to talk about is Gen V. This show came out not too long ago, towards the end of the year. One of our favorite shows. It's a spin-off of The Boys, like Andrew mentioned earlier. However, I wasn't too excited for it when it was coming out. I just thought, I had the mindset of, oh, like, I don't care about these. I don't know who these characters are. Like, I really care about all the boys' characters. You know, I wanna dive in and watch more of them,
I
or
want to
like at least
dive
like
in.
take all of the resources from Gen V and just put it into the next season of the boys to
Yeah.
make it even more epic. You know. And gosh darn it, I ended up loving Gen V. It was great.
Against your will.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have full episodes, long form content, like with more depth and breakdown aspects to it. With a
Yeah.
lot of the things that we're talking about for The
Yeah.
Last of Us and Gen V and Invincible.
And Blue Eye Samurai that we'll get to as well. I'll link in the comments, or sorry, in the captions, all of the previous episodes that we've done on these shows, so you can find them easily and check them out. But yeah,
Connecting all the content.
that's right.
Into the content verse.
That's right. What'd you think of Gen V?
I thought Gen V was really good. It surprised me. I'll forewarn that I think that it didn't end as strong as it opened, or it didn't end as strong as the rest of the show for me. But I generally feel like that about all the seasons of The Boys too. It just throughout the show surprised me again with how much I connected with the characters. The strong suit for that we mentioned for The Last of Us is the same strong suit here. It's just I loved the characters and their relationships. I don't know that I've ever rooted for an on-screen romance as much as I did in like episode 4 or whenever I won't spoil the show, but two of the characters that get together in this show, there's two relationships even in the show that I love to death, like that are in my upper echelon of favorite romances in TV across the year. So, or favorite romances in media in general across the year. So I think this show did a really good job with the characters. Just could have done better with some of the action and some of the closing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the cinematography too. I thought it was very well shot. The color, lighting, everything looked fantastic. I think we did get to see more powers being used, you know, on like, I'd say more of like individual personal levels. But yeah, like some of the big fights towards the end of the season aren't as good as maybe you would hope for them to be.
Some cool comic references in this season too.
But yeah.
Namely, the big one to me is the introduction of Tech Knight as a character, because Tech Knight has a little arc in the comics that we went into in one of our TikTok videos.
We're gonna go ahead and watch. You want to watch this first fight here?
Yeah.
So this is from episode 1. So if you haven't seen Gen V, maybe skip past this, which we have the chapters on the episode, so you can know like when we're done talking about Gen V. But if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. But this part here will have spoilers for episode 1, so keep that in mind as we're watching this here. Yeah, so we're all viewing it now. Oop, and here we go.
So this takes place the end of episode 1 of Gen V when we walk into the door with our hero Marie.
Fire looked really good.
Bloody Marie, and she sees Golden Boy is burning Brink. Brink is the head of like the hero training department at the school. So this is kind of like a plot twist to us at the end of the episode, kind of comes out of nowhere. And Golden Boy, who seemed like a hero, seemed like he was close with Brink, has murdered him. And as Marie runs away, we have Jordan Lee here, the gender fluid hero who steps in to protect her, because really not much of anyone else could stand up to Golden Boy if not Jordan Lee, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's the number 1 and number 2 heroes in the rankings in the school. And Golden Boy is kind of compared to Homelander in the sense that Brink says one day he could be at or
As
above
strong, yeah.
Homelander's level.
Which obviously in the boys universe is what?
Did you see what just happened?
I know, I missed it. I was thinking of my thought.
She punched him in the junk.
But her power, his powers are really cool. Because when she's a female, she can
energy manipulation.
Yeah,
I think is the description.
And then when he's a female, it's like energy absorption.
Yeah, when he's a male, it's like complete indestructibility. It seems like because they take a bullet in the male form easily.
Yeah. So it was really cool dynamic between the two of them and their powers and when they switch and stuff, especially later in the show when we're getting more into their character as well. But this was definitely like that jaw-dropping twist, you know, that it's like the hook of the season. Like, hey, this is why you should stay. This is the mystery. Like, why why is Golden Boy turning? You know, like what happened to make him go and kill his mentor? You know, like, and then also we had this giant twist here too that Golden Boy just kills himself. Like, what just happened? You know, like I was definitely on the edge of my seat. They released the first 3 episodes. I watched them all back to back.
Yeah, people complain about the boys universe for relying on shock value, but I love shock value.
Yeah, why
I
not?
don't really consider it like a crutch as much as just like additional excitement.
Right.
Like, why would I watch something and not want to be shocked? You
Yeah.
know? I don't want to expect everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's it's my favorite thing about the boys universe is the shock value.
Right. And even this hug right here, like it was intense, you know, like you're still on your edge of your seat. Like what's going to happen? You know, like is he in trouble now or are we good? Is everything safe now? But yeah,
You see,
it's
really
very cool.
seems like he's about to calm down before he explodes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They get you going. But Gen V also had some cool like stylistic choices. And the main one that pops out, at least in terms of like the fight scenes and stuff, is this one here when we're with Sam and he envisions puppets
Yeah.
as the characters that are actually there.
They're like
so we
really
get to
inspired
see
by the Muppets. Like
Yeah.
that's specifically the kind of puppets they look like.
Yeah, so we get to see a Muppet brutal fight, which one probably saved them a bunch of money,
Yeah.
you know, to do it with puppets instead of actually trying to do this with CGI and practical effects, you know. But it still gets the message across. It shows too, like he's kind of mentally unstable, you know.
Yeah.
So it furthers his character development and us understanding him as a character. I think it just gives us a cool piece of content, you know?
And it leaves a lot to the imagination too, which is like
Like, look at that.
it lets us like imagine what this would look like realistically, you know?
Yeah. And
Also that guy's like screaming at that point, I have a family, I have a like
it also
it's brutal as well.
Yeah, it also lets you connect to his character more because you don't see him doing all of those things as him.
Yeah.
You know, so like he's more of a lovable character, even though he just murdered all those people.
It's really multifaceted approach when you point out all that. Like makes it cheaper, it's creative and stylistic, makes it easier to connect to. It's like kind of like a win-win-win-win, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's really cool when filmmakers are able to come up with unique ways to tell the story, save money, but also further the story, you know? This was one of Andrew's favorite scenes here, which is nice because this clip here is actually all in widescreen. Like the thing was shot. The other 2 clips that we watched were not. So it's nice to see it. I feel like whenever we watch a movie or show in widescreen, it just kind of elevates the perceived production value, you know?
Yeah.
It just feels more quote unquote cinematic, you know? But this scene had a lot of good dialogue going between the characters and Sam's like insanity, you know, like what he's confused, and everyone else doesn't know how to stop him, but Emma's kind of developed this relationship and trust with him. So she steps in. So there's a lot of good dialogue here, which I think the boys in general excels in, you know, is using their dialogue to further the story, even though it's maybe missing some of the action that you're used to from a superhero type show. And of course, we get a ton of blood in the boys.
There's also a lot of really cool relationship dynamics folded into this one like 2-minute clip because you've got Sam and Emma's connection. Emma's the only one who could calm him down. You've got Kate may not be in this scene, so you don't have the Andre and Kate connection. Yeah, Kate's not here, but then you've got Jordan Lee trying to protect Marie, and then Marie vice versa trying to do the same. And then here Emma's going to come back out and just kind of diffuse the situation with the unveiling of an awesome power-up of her ability that she can enlarge herself as well.
Yeah, and everyone was like, what just happened? You can do that? Like,
but like there's multiple.
It was shocking for them as well.
Multiple character dynamics here, not just a fight. Like they don't just want to kill each other.
Right. Yeah, very cool. Highly recommend Gen V if you haven't already seen it. Um, it's on Amazon, which is where the next show that we're going to talk about is also on. Um, I
Amazon's got the bangers right now. They've
yeah, I
also
was
got
going to
Jack
ask
Reacher.
you like who's like the top right now for like shows. You know, like it feels like Amazon could be up there, right? Like,
Well, it's tough. So you've got HBO Max has The Last of Us,
yep,
and then they've got some other shows in their catalog going on right now. Not too
yep.
much that I watch, but like in terms of new content coming out, right? They've got The Last of Us, and then House of the Dragon. So,
hmm
and then
Lord of the Rings, was that this year?
I think Lord of the Rings is on Prime.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
Haha,
So
there we
then
go.
Prime has Lord of the Rings, Invincible, The Boys, Gen V, and Reacher, and
Yep.
then probably some others that I'm not mentioning. Like there's other shows that we don't watch.
I know Apple has a lot of loved television. I just haven't seen a lot of their stuff. The only Apple show that I've seen is Ted Lasso, and I'm halfway through the third season,
Yeah.
which did in fact come out this year. And Ted Lasso is amazing. I know you haven't seen it yet, but it's so good. The you just fall in love with all the characters immediately.
Yeah, I mean they've also got that the morning show. It's like a show
hmm
about news, and then they've got Severance, and then HBO Max I guess has Succession as well, which is a huge show this year.
Yeah.
And then Netflix, they've got one of our favorite shows of the year. They've got Blue Eye Samurai.
Yeah.
If you ask me who's really winning, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll has all the anime.
All right. Our next episode that
Oh, Netflix also weekly debuted episodes of Vinland Saga, so Netflix doesn't lose in the anime category either. Netflix has a lot of good shows. They just put out a high volume of stuff, so you might see a lot of stuff that is just okay.
yeah, volume over quantity over quality
Yeah,
sometimes.
we're not even talking about Disney.
Oh shoot.
Secret
Yeah.
Invasion, Loki,
Yep.
Percy Jackson, which I'm caught up on Percy Jackson. That show's been pretty good so far. A ton of others. Disney puts out like a show every month, every 2 weeks.
Yeah, Ahsoka I think was this year.
Yeah, that was this year.
Yeah, I didn't really watch. I watched some of Secret Invasion. It was all right. It was maybe a little less than all right. And then Loki was good. It just kind of fell off. I think it's the weekly releases that really put a dent in the momentum of watching some of these shows. You know, like even 2 weeks ago when Reacher came out, you know, I was pumped up to see it. Really liked the first season and started watching. I thought the whole season was out. Got to the third episode and it was done. There wasn't the fourth one yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck, man? Like, I had this weekend open, and then the rest of this week, like I'm busy. The rest of next week, I'm busy. You know, like I just don't have as much
Yeah.
time. And I was ready to watch it now. Like I'm in the momentum of the swing of things.
Yeah,
And I'm just not as excited to go back to it, you know?
I mean, when you look at like overall catalogs, HBO Max has an incredible catalog of like premium content that is like older, but now they're licensing all of it to Netflix. Like Band of
Right.
Brothers is on Netflix.
Yeah.
They're putting all their
All the DCU.
it's like they have The Sopranos, but how long before that's on Netflix? And so
Right.
I think if you're talking about like the who's putting out the best stuff right now and who has the best catalog, then the conversation's got to either be Netflix or Prime.
Yeah.
Prime has a lot of good new stuff.
I'd agree. I would agree as well. Yeah. Okay.
Minus Crunchyroll. Still got to give Crunchyroll their flowers.
Invincible. This was our most anticipated show of the year. You know, how did it hold up? You know, like did it meet expectations for you? It's a long time coming for us to get season 2 of Invincible. What'd you think?
It fell a little short of my expectations. If you watched our Invincible episodes, you already know this about me. My expectations were just really high.
Yeah.
We read all the comics and they like sucked us in. After
Yep.
watching season 1, we went and read
Yep.
like all 144 issues, and
Yeah.
it's the twists and turns are so good in the comics, and maybe that's just part of it is you can't enjoy the same twists and turns as much the second time.
That is true. I feel like the biggest hurdle is just that we didn't get to see it all at once, or at least consecutively, you know, week to week, like having that few week break. We don't even know when it's coming back. You know, it's been rumored in January, but I feel like if it was January of
We wouldn't know,
2024, they would have told us to build hype for it. And we haven't heard anything. So it makes me feel like we're taking a few months off here, and I think that was a bad move. I feel like a lot of people are not going to watch the second half that watched the first half, you know?
Yeah, the first season, like, it does have episodes in there that are slower, namely, especially the Mars episode.
Yeah.
But that rolls off the back a lot easier when you get the whole show. And
Mhm.
it, like, the ending of that first season is really strong to make up for any episodes that were slower. And we could have had that here,
Yeah.
but it's just 4 episodes.
I think maybe what Amazon will miss out on people that watch the first four and now just aren't as invested and they lose those viewers, they'll make up for the people that didn't watch the first four and are waiting for it all to be out to binge it all at once. I feel like they kind of make up the viewership there. Like, but then doesn't that just solve the solution to just have it come out all
You would
around the
have
same
you would have
time? Like,
all of those viewers.
yeah. I mean, then you get into the conversation about like, oh, making people have a membership for longer. It's like, well, yeah, but you have other content. Like, I'm not getting rid of or buying a membership just for one show and then getting rid of it.
8 weekly episodes still comes out over 2 months time
Yeah.
span where you would have to
Yeah,
pay for 2 months either way.
exactly. All right. Do you want to watch this fight here for Invincible?
Let's check it out.
This is probably the best fight from season 2. I almost said 4, but it's episode 4. Again, if you haven't seen Invincible, you might see a little spoiler here for the end of the midway through of season 2.
Use those chapters to skip ahead if you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and hit play here and we'll kind of jump around. But Andrew, while we're watching this, like, why is Invincible one of your favorite stories?
I like Invincible because it's what we said about Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon was exciting because the concept was an R-rated version of Star Wars, and this is like an R-rated version of Superman.
Mhm.
You know, it's bloody, it tells deep, emotional, adult storylines, and not that Superman doesn't touch on the same things. It just doesn't get to touch on them in the same way because a lot of Superman content you're going to see is going to be PG-13 or higher.
Yeah.
And
They're catering to like the family appeal too,
Yeah.
you know, like they know like kids are watching, even if it's a PG-13, like, you know that kids are watching this, you know. So, but if it's rated R, then it's like, this is for adults and we're diving into just that, you know.
the characters are just complex. They have interesting arcs, like Omni-Man you'll come to see as you watch more of the show. So they're going to continue to follow the comics. You'll come to see like a really interesting arc. We're already seeing a touch of it here with him in that scene where he's talking to Mark and he's like, why? Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I care about them? They're bugs. They're nothing. But he's beginning to care. And this, after 5,000 years of programming, we're seeing like this crazy character development in this character. And we get to see a lot of change in Mark over 144 issues.
Yeah.
So I just like that on top of what we said about loving the shock factor in the boys. When you turn a page to a full page spread in Invincible and somebody's
It's
hand
hard,
has
man.
just gone straight
Through the
through
guts,
abdomen
yeah.
of somebody, like, it's shocking and it kept me on the edge of my seat because you never know
Absolutely.
when they're going to hit you with that.
Rob Kurtman is just so good at writing characters and telling stories. Like, Omni-Man has a pretty much a complete 180 in personality, and he's already a really old character, so that's really hard to do. So it's hard to believe that he would do that. But the way that they present this arc, like, it happens slowly over time. You know, even in the first season, like, he's been with Debbie for 20 something years already, you know, like, so that love for humans has already kind of started, you know, and then Mark kind of pushes it over the edge, you know, like when he tries to execute his plan and it doesn't go, like, Mark doesn't join him, and these emotions just start to pile up, you know, and then he leaves, he avoids the conflict, like, I can't handle this, and he ends up like kind of settling with it and having time to think of what happened, and now he's on this other world where he's the leader, you know, and he's protecting these other life forms that have even a shorter lifespan than humans. You know, humans have the lifespan comparison pretty much to these creatures that Viltrumites have to humans in a way, you know. So yeah, the character development's really good, but then yeah, the fights are just brutal, you know, like, you don't see a lot of fights like this. Especially in the comics, like you said, turn into a full page. You know, and you see a full page. Some of my favorites are where it's like they're showing a different punch back to back to back, and then in the middle is just this one giant hit.
Heavy
you know,
blow,
like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. Looks so good. Uh, what season one did a really good job of was kind of making it feel like that Sunday morning cartoon, bright colors, happy go lucky, and then boom.
The ending
Yeah, they
of
they
season of
they
episode 1
surprise you, they
especially.
shock you, and
I think what the writing of this show does really well, that's a mark of impressive writing. Like we see it with characters like Joel, we see it with characters like Darth Vader, and it's done here with Omni-Man, is they take a truly despicable, bad person and they make you like them. And
yep.
it's like not even for a second did I not like Nolan, even when he's like destroying the Earth and destroying Mark's face at the end of season 1. He's still a cool character. He's just a bad guy.
Absolutely. Not bad guy. Just bad guy.
Zangief? Zangief is not a bad
um
guy.
all right, the last show that we're really going to kind of dive into. This is the one that we've talked about so much on this show.
Second to last.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, where is it? Oh, here. Yeah, let's do this one first.
Yeah.
We'll save that one.
And on our strongest on Blue.
That's right.
The one we agree on the most. Aaron hasn't. This is a spoiler for Aaron, but I don't even care. Aaron's never going to get into anime. I have to give up my dreams.
Well, you said this is what, two seasons?
Yeah, this isn't season
How many seasons or episodes are in each season?
23.
Okay, it's not terrible. Maybe this will give me the juice that I need to go watch it. What do you watch it on?
I watched it on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
You need me to give you a login?
Yeah.
Don't tell the.
You want to slide that over? All right. Let's go ahead and pick this up. Again, spoilers if you haven't already seen it.
This is from season 2, Shibuya Incident arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. Chozo versus Itadori Yuji. So like
So what's happening
let me
here?
give you I'll give you some details. So Chozo has an ability called blood manipulation. Kind of similar to our D&D campaign actually. But they are both
Was that your inspiration?
No, I hadn't seen this before. But Chozo and Itadori are both what's called a Jujutsu sorcerer, which basically means that they have access to controlling cursed energy, and they can manipulate cursed energy to use cursed techniques. And that's kind of where their powers come from. But they're also just like enhanced individuals because of their ability to control cursed energy. Spoiler alert for the show again, but Chozo is related to the Kamo clan, which they have a specific ability, a technique for blood manipulation, and it is very strong ability. So he can do all kinds of things like shoot the blood out of his body in the form of like a laser. It's called piercing blood or piercing arrow.
Does he have to puncture his skin first, like in Gen V, or can it like go through the skin?
I don't think they specifically show him puncturing his skin. I think he can draw it out. But like they have like all kinds of enhanced abilities from this. So right now he's hardening his fist, which this is like a specialized ability that they just explain in the subtitles, like puts him at risk for clotting, like throwing a clot, which could cause like a stroke or death. And so he's taking the risk for that ability because he's determined that Yuji is such a threatening opponent that he has to use this risky technique.
The lighting looks really cool.
Yuji's backlit by red and Chozo's backlit by blue. Ironic because Yuji's the hero in this situation, but it just looks really cool as well. Normally you'll light the hero, you think blue hero, red villain. It's kind of the reverse here, but it matches their color scheme because Chozo's wearing like purple and Yuji's wearing red on his jacket. His hair is pink.
Slow motion.
So like the fight started out, Chozo's in the lead, so Itadori kind of ran to this bathroom to kind of get a strategic advantage, and then activated these sprinklers because the blood helps, or the water stops the blood from like forming as well into a mass. It kind of makes it, it reduces its viscosity and causes his like piercing blood and things to fall apart after a short amount of time. So like
cool.
he took like a smart strategic advantage he got from like a teammate from another school named Mekamaru. So that's why that blade.
Is that what happened there?
That blade just burst.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
of the water. But they choose really unique and creative camera angles. So you'll see like some POV shots in these fights. You'll see like the camera move sideways, upside down, and the pacing of the fighting is just breakneck speed. I mean, all the way through, these two are like boxing at absolute maximum speed, getting flipped around, upside down, destroying the environment too. I love it. I love destructibility in an environment in a fight sequence, like we were just talking about Invincible, the season 1 finale. The city getting destroyed. So we're just seeing this bathroom get to. There's that awesome POV shot. He
That was
just
cool.
swung around on a pipe, and you can see like his
The hits
feet in
hit
the front of
hard.
you. Oh yeah, and especially you're watching it too without the sound, so you're not even getting the full effect.
Right.
But like he's also
Got the
so.
sound of your voice. It's all I need.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm enhancing this for you right now. But so this is his. He's using cursed energy, bowling it up into his fist. I think his attack is called like Divergent Fist.
This looks really cool.
Yeah, it's the lighting in that scene is just awesome. The choreography is so sick, and it's super creative. And it's also like kind of got this like emotional backbone to it too, because Yuji's just like beaten and bloodied. You'll see as that season goes along, he takes so much damage and keeps getting up and fighting to like the most insane extent. Like he is destroyed multiple times, and like I said, every episode is just a fight and a fight. So they're not all his, but he goes into so many opponents. Like he goes from Chozo to another opponent to another opponent to another. Like it's
What
such
a
a great,
baller.
such a great season of television. Yeah, he's got a beast inside him. Literally,
Is season 1 just as good as season 2?
season 1. I'd say season 2. Season 1 is amazing, and then
Uh-huh.
season 2 surpassed it.
Okay.
Like
Nice.
season 1 is not as action packed, but this is like the Shibuya incident arc. It's called is like universally renowned as by manga readers as like a really top tier arc with like a lot of cool action and big twists and things like that.
You piqued my interest. I'll give it a shot if you give me that, code.
Be cool. Be cool.
Cool.
So we've got one more show to discuss.
Yes, we do. And this is the one that, kind of has been blown up in popularity lately. I feel like a lot of people are talking about this show. And we were apparently one of the first podcasts to do so. And our episode got some traction, and we broke down the whole season kind of and talking about a lot of our favorite details and stuff. And that is Blue Eye Samurai. In that episode, we called it Blue Eye Samurai Best Show of the Year, which was a very fitting title. But on today's episode, I want to kind of talk about something that we didn't really talk about too much in the other 2 episodes that we did. And that's just kind of in episode 5, when she's storming the castle, they did a lot of cool like stylizations, that kind of brought us out of the real world. She got basically poisoned as one of the defenses in this castle to stop intruders. She got poisoned, and that kind of led into this montage of not being in the real world anymore. And we got to see elements that we shouldn't be able to see in something that's trying to take something that's based in reality, but they did it in a really cool way. So this part's like right after she got past kind of the event of being actually poisoned, and then all these prisoners that she's walking past to her are turning out to be like zombies, like, and then she sees this big brute at the end. But yeah, it's just a really cool stylization piece, that added to the story, but add to the story through visuals where we're in her perspective right now.
Yeah, and looking at the contrast in her blue eyes to the red-eyed demons around her, like
Yeah,
the lighting and coloring is so cool in this show.
Yeah, very cool, very epic. Right here it's a lot of kind of freeze frames going through. I couldn't find the clip that I was looking for of like where it all turned blue and into like a different world. It's like right before this.
It's hard to find specific clips from this show because it's not like as popular as some other things. I
Right,
was
right.
trying to find a clip once of where she kills the bird and then all of a
Oh
sudden
yeah,
catches it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I couldn't get it for the life of me.
Dude, that was intense, right? Like she's trying to be really quiet, and this bird like surprised her because she's up in the top of the what are they called? Rafters, yeah.
I got you.
The bird like flies out, and she quickly
We finish each
catches it.
other's
Sentences. Sandwiches. I'm sorry.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
should have. Yeah, I should have.
I think it's cool the significance that the Japanese culture seems to hold to eyes because like
Hmm.
as I've watched more and more anime, it's just like a recurring. I don't know if I'd call it a trope, but you've got like the Uchihas in Naruto, and then Kurapika in Hunter x Hunter and his people, and then you've got I think there's something similar with Scar's people in Full Metal Alchemist. You've got Blue-Eyed Samurai here. It's it's kind of a recurring element, and
Yeah.
the eyes are seen historically, culturally as like a window to the soul, so they are significant.
Yeah, and something that this does really well is like look at the color differences between locations, like one way to make a show or a film seem big is to have like different distinct scenes. Like if you're at the bottom and you're like scrolling through, and you see a wide variety of color and stuff, like it just makes it feel big and
Yeah,
epic, and they do a really good job
it just
of
it
changing it up here.
in your memory you can easily recall on it too. You
Right.
can think that, oh, that scene that was all red, that scene was so
Yeah.
cool. That
And
scene that was all
we were
blue.
just with like a lot of black and red and blues, and now the scene is filled with like this purple and red haze, and then her eyes are still glowing blue. It's just really cool. And then of course it's brutal, like going back to the rated R aspect, of like Invincible and The Boys and stuff. Like this is trying to show that animation's not just for kids, that it's for adults.
She just shoved a bomb into his neck and
Yeah,
exploded
it's
him.
brutal, right?
Yeah.
Like animation's just another form of media to tell a story, and I appreciate that they're telling adult stories in animation, because it's really cool, and
Mhm.
not enough people dive into animation or even anime, because it's not real people. It's like that's a bad excuse.
Yeah, they've certainly got their like fandoms, but just general audiences I feel like push some of that stuff by the wayside, and then especially when it comes to like award recognition too.
Yeah,
It's not like I just feel like there's not as much respect given to even like the best animated feature category at the Oscars, you know?
yeah,
It's which it deserve people work so hard on it, and it's such a cool medium where like you can literally do anything. That's why I love animation, is because you're not limited in the same sense. Like the limitations in live action make for a lot of cool things to happen. You know, your
sure.
limitations can guide you on a lot of cool routes, but then the freedom of animation to just create such cool fantastical worlds and stunts that maybe you could never physically do in real life is
Yeah, we had 5 shows that we talked about more in depth today. 3 of them were animated, and 2 of them were live
yeah.
action. So we both love animation and appreciate the work and dedication that goes into making those projects.
We appreciate the arts,
Um,
the finer things.
I don't even know of any shows really coming out in 2024 that I'm like excited for, looking forward to. Of course, we have Invincible, right, coming out.
Second
We
half.
got The Boys coming out as well in 2024. I don't really know about too many other ones just yet.
Star Wars Acolyte. We're gonna get the kind of in a way the first project of the DCEU, which is the Penguin on HBO Max.
Oh, is that they're actually doing that?
Yep, coming out
Okay.
next year with Colin Farrell. Echo is going to be one of Marvel's shows, along with Daredevil: Born Again, if they actually are able to finish that.
That's
They're
right.
going to release
Echo looked good.
They're going to release a big one here, Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. The live action series is going to be released.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be talked about a lot. Whether it's good or bad, it's going to get a lot of traction.
It's going to be a really good year for anime as well. I don't have a list of all the anime shows that are coming out next year, but I know there's going to be like a season of Dragon Ball. There's going to be, even compared to this year, which was phenomenal, it's going to be a good year because there's a lot of anime coming out.
All right. That wraps up our 20 favorite shows of 2023. Again, we didn't watch a ton of shows. We watched more movies than shows, but we enjoyed the shows that came out this year that we did watch. Um, I did watch other shows that I've already seen or that came out in other years too, that we didn't talk about. So we are both consuming shows, just maybe not the newest ones. But yeah, I'm excited for the new year. Those few shows that you mentioned, that I am excited for all of those. I'm, man, the fact that Echo is TVMA, like it's giving me hope, and that they're marketing it as the most brutal Disney Plus show yet. So I have some hope that that will be a good story. What about you? How do you feel about that one?
I'm cautiously optimistic for it. I feel like I just hope they don't pull their punches at the last minute. I would like to see a show indicative of what their trailer showed. The trailer was very exciting. We did an episode reviewing it if you want to check that out.
Absolutely. Man, now I gotta link that too, huh? I'm just gonna link the whole channel. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We're excited for what's to come, both in terms of content that's being released, but then also content that we're making in 2024. Thanks for sticking around. We post new episodes every Monday and Thursday. We're all over social media posting stuff there every single day.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna do episodes. Just since this is gonna be coming out next year, I want to highlight that we're gonna be doing episodes recapping our box office draft, which is around episode 20. We're gonna recap the results of our box office draft, where we both pick 5 movies to see who could pick the top earners of the year, and then
that was a lot of fun.
Eventually, we're gonna do our picks for the Oscars later this year, and we're gonna do our recap of our favorite movies of the year as well, on top of favorite shows. So January will be a busy month for us. Make sure to look out for those episode topics upcoming.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for watching, and that's a wrap.